Hi everybody, it's Donovan Deschner from the internet and 260 Minutes. Hopefully you've been following along. With week 39 having just passed this weekend, I figured it was time to do a bit of a status update like I did at the 25 and 50% marks, because this is the 75% mark. In truth, I've been wanting to do this update since about week 30, which was a really terrible week, and I kind of wanted to get some stuff off my chest, but it just always felt so negative that I didn't really want to do it, so I've been putting it off until today, and I'm going to combine that. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but first just some statistics on where we're at right now. As I said, 75% done. That means 39 sets have been completed. The total time done on stage is 223 minutes and 58 seconds. What the heck, I'll round up, 224 minutes. That means that I'm actually 29 minutes ahead of where I should be. It means I've done 86% of the time requirement. Again, I think I mentioned this a couple times, even if I hit 260 minutes early in the process, I will still do all 52 sets to make sure. My average set length now is at 5 minutes and 45 seconds. That's not a bad average to have. Obviously, that 45-second bonus adds up. Before I get into week 30 and all that nonsense, I wanted to say a couple quick thank yous. 260 minutes would not be possible without the incredible contributions of some of my friends and family. Specifically, I mean, obviously all my friends and family deserve a huge thank you. Specifically, Steve and Allison for their support and for being a somewhat regular foil for my jokes and for being good sports about it. I appreciate that. Also, I should mention my friend John down in Mexico for his support as well. It was very encouraging. But some of my comedian friends that have helped with the writing, I've been bouncing jokes off them for the past couple weeks, actually basically since the beginning of the process. Jeff Toth, Jeff Kubik, Ian Wallace, Laurie Gibbs, and they've always been great. They've always punched up and made an addition, which is good to have in my corner, especially when I'm trying to produce this much stuff. A big thanks to all the venues that I've been at and all the audiences that have been a part of it, and especially to my regular online audience, the 1,400 plus YouTube subscribers, the Facebook fans, the Twitter followers that come along every week. It makes it easier to do this knowing that you're there and watching. So here's why week 30 was such a turning point for me. Week 30 was just a bad set all around. Nothing that I knew how to do was working in my favor that day. It was just horrible, and it kind of culminated into a point where that was the first time in 260 minutes that I actually thought that I couldn't do this, that I couldn't see it through to the end. That was obviously 9 weeks ago now, so I've kind of been proving myself wrong, but it still has a bit of a lingering thought for me. There were a couple of bad sets other than week 30, obviously, like week 12 was pretty bad, and week 22 also wasn't great. Sometimes because of me, sometimes because of the conditions. It was all over the map. But for week 30 was the one that really struck with me. It wasn't going my way, and here's the truth. I've never bombed worse on stage than with 260 minutes. So to begin with, like the sets that go bad in this project are the worst sets that I've ever done in my entire career. Now granted, maybe some of the early audiences that saw me might disagree with that. They might think that I did bomb pretty badly when I was starting out, but I don't remember it ever being this bad. And of course those sets affect me, but week 30 in particular kind of culminated in a couple of things. Bad sets do have an impact on me. Of course they do. It takes a while to shake those things off, especially when they're this bad. Also, that week 30 happened during my run with the Yuck Yucks comedy contest that was running in town, where I was taking the bullet every night. But as far as the audience was concerned, I was just a competitor. And so it was a way to kind of insulate the competitors from having to go up first and maybe getting a not great crowd or getting people that aren't used to the rhythm of stand-up yet. And it was a great idea, and I am so grateful to Yuck Yucks Calgary and Chris Griffin for allowing that to happen and for putting me on for all those times and giving me that opportunity. It allowed me to focus on the writing for those few weeks. Not that it always showed, but it just took off the stress of having to find a venue for 260 every single week. And I am grateful for that, but in order to maintain the air of the contest, I had to be judged publicly by the panel of judges that were there, and that was just horrible for me. I hated that process. Sometimes I was being judged by people who not even weren't comedians. Sometimes they were comedians that hadn't written a joke in like a decade, and they're judging me on my new material to keep up the pretense. And people said, "Don't be so sensitive," like, "Oh, what, you know." But it is sensitive for me because 260 is really close to my heart, and it's already kind of an open wound. So when that got tossed on top of it, it hurts. And then add to that some of the sarcastic eye rolls and double thumbs up that the amateur one guy in particular gave me it just added up to a week where I was like, this is not going well. And listen, I know when it doesn't go well. Like, I get to watch the footage of it later, and I get to hear them laughing or not laughing. I'm intimately familiar when they're not on board, and when they are on board, it doesn't have to be pointed out to me. So all of that together just really discouraged me for that week 30. It took a while for me to recover from it. Now, of course, I know that not all 260 is supposed to go well. There's supposed to be ups and downs. There's supposed to be some various levels. There's supposed to be some failures, and I'm okay with that. I would just wish that I would assume that the people that would get that the quickest would be other comedians, but sometimes I don't think that they do. It takes a little lot. The process involved in 260 is really stressful. I mean, sometimes when you're on stage, you got to make it look like it's easy in order to get people on board. But in actual fact, it's very, very difficult. As I said, I've never bombed worse than with 260, and I've actually, right around that week 30 mark, I actually had 2 weeks solid of nightmares every single night, just from the stress of having to do it and freaking out from whether or not I could. All that said, week 30 was definitely a low point for me, but since I've been feeling steady improvement, maybe I'm finding my stride. It's been okay since then. Most of the sets have gone pretty well. That means that there's probably a bomb right around the corner, so stay tuned for that, for sure. Since hitting this mark and actually coming up to this 75% mark, I have been feeling that it gets a little bit harder to do every single week. I feel like I'm running out of premises. I feel like I'm running out of things to talk about. I keep trying to remember stories from my childhood, just trying to think out like, oh, maybe there was something back there that worked, but it just hasn't happened as easily as it was for the first 3 quarters of this process. I only have 13 more to go, so hopefully in that time I can find the premises that I need, maybe pull something back from the childhood, or something happens to me. Maybe I just lead a more interesting life. Maybe that's on me. So I do thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I am on the stages across Western Canada, some new stages as part of new shows for the next coming weeks, and I hope you're going to stay tuned, and I'll see you there. And I'll probably do more of these videos in the coming weeks. I hope that I have time amongst all the writing and everything. So thanks again, and bye for now.